Hello and welcome back to the Unschoolers podcast with Claire and Amy. And this week we are talking about the role of technology in our home education. So, how much we use it, what do we use it for? Do we limit it? What boundaries do we set around it? What has it been helpful for? What experiences we've had, all to do with technology. And because we know that screen time is it's a really interesting topic because people have such polarizing views on it. And it is a big deal in everybody's lives now, isn't it? So,
I think this is a huge thing for people that are not just home educating, isn't
oh
it?
yeah,
This is like such a big topic that people always discuss, whether you home educate or not.
it is. It just seems to be like even kids that go to school, it's like I know that when my 8-year-old was still at school, as soon as he came home, as soon as he got into the car, or the first question, he would like, can I go on my iPad when I get home? Can I go on the PlayStation when I get home?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that immediate need for the screen. So whether they're at school or not, but it's just that I suppose at home they have more free access, or they could have potentially more free access to it. And we can use it in other ways, can't we?
yeah,
Um, Rather than it being like a designated lesson, an hour a week in IT, and then you're not allowed to use anything else. What's your overarching view on screen time and technology?
it's not one that I have a massive opinion on. Like, I'm not really strongly like, do not, my children don't go on street
Mm.
screens, or like, yeah, like we're on them all day. I'm pretty chill about it. Um,
But you have that really interesting story
which one?
from you have that interesting story from when you were a nanny.
Yeah, so I've been a nanny for quite a few families actually, and I've seen how screens can be differ from family to family. And for one particular family that I used to nanny for, the boys were literally obsessed with screens. They were fixated on it. They just loved screen time was their thing. They liked to play games. It was online, and
Mm.
they would have a cellar downstairs, and it they had like a projector, so like the whole of this wall was the screen, and it'd
Yeah.
be on I don't know what it was, Xbox or whatever they call it, PlayStation, whatever.
Hmm.
And they would play their games on there, and it was you know what they used to love. And like you say, like they used to come home from school and be like, can we have screen time? Can we have screen time? When's it screen time? And that's all their focus was. Their focus was a screen.
Yeah.
And no matter, they didn't care about anything else. They could be absolutely starving. And if they was on a screen, it wouldn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
it was their focus. And um, the parents, rightly so, had to put boundaries in place. And obviously, being the nanny, I had to adhere to the boundaries. And they weren't allowed them after a certain time and before a certain time. So, homework had to be done first, and dinner and stuff like that. But what was really interesting is within that time frame that they were allowed them, it was almost like a fixation. Like, I have to make the most of this time. I
Yeah.
have to, you know, make the most of it. And they would be
They
on
have to use
screen.
every single second of
Yeah,
that to get as much pack in as much as they can.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they would be, on the screen, and they would put their iPad on the staircase. So if I was to call them up for something like, guys, come and get a drink, like, you've been down there for like an hour and a half, please come and see daylight, they would literally press pause on that screen that's in front of them and immediately pick up the next and walk up the stairs, sort of like staring at the iPad.
Yeah.
And it was just, they, in their head, because of the time frame, it was like, well, I've got to make the most of it.
Yeah.
They had to. And that's not just for one family that I've nannied for. There's many that I've seen that they just obsess over it, and it was online gaming. That's what they wanted to do.
How old were these kids?
So the one was 7 and one was 11. So
Okay.
and they both, you know, really were into the gaming.
Gaming.
Yeah,
Oh, I can so relate to that because that's what mine are like when they are allowed it.
yeah,
That is how they are. And like my 8-year-old, I mean, my 5-year-old, not so much. He's not as bothered, but my 8-year-old will have his iPad here with like
yeah,
YouTube on, and then he'll have the PlayStation as he's playing the PlayStation. And I'm like, you can't be watching a YouTube video at the same
oh my
time
goodness.
as like on the PlayStation. That's just not possible. You can't split your attention like that. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, but
So have you
I
got
have,
boundaries in place with the time for that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I've been through. I've been like this about it, like all over the place, just trying to find our balance and our
Yeah,
right way to work it for us. And at first, I read all the Naomi Fisher. She's very pro screens and pro self-soothing with screens, pro
yeah,
letting them have free reign, and um, just allowing them to be on it as and when, even take it out with them, socializing and things like that. So I thought, okay, I really like the idea of them reaching their own boundaries and knowing when's enough, when is my body telling me that it's enough to come off. And I really liked the idea of them being in charge of that for themselves.
yeah,
But then it comes to a point where, like you say, they totally almost come out of their body and
yeah.
they aren't in touch with their body anymore at all because they won't get up and go to the toilet, and they won't get up and have a drink, and they won't eat because they won't be thinking
They won't be being
consciously.
mindful of themselves.
Yeah, they won't be thinking of their best interests for themselves. They'll just be fixated. And that's what it is designed to do. It's designed to be addictive. And so we did that for a while. We tried it and it just didn't work for us. It didn't sit right with me that
Yeah,
they could. My 5-year-old isn't so bad, but he follows what my 8-year-old does. See, so if my 8-year-old is on it, he wants to be on it, and even though he's not as bothered, so we soon had to put some boundaries in place. And then we would say, well, I always have him in the conversation, so I always ask him, right, this isn't working anymore because you're this well clearly this isn't working, so we need to come up with another plan that
yeah,
suits everybody and makes everybody in the house happy. And so we'll always try and negotiate with him. Then we went down to like 1 hour a day. Like, you're allowed it for 1 hour, and we had to put a timer on and everything, but then that freaked him out. He absolutely averse to the timer, hates the timer. um and that didn't really feel right either. So it's been a constant source of like, and then I found this other method, which is earning screen time. So for every for every period of time that they play, do something else, they play outside or they play doing something else, they earn a certain amount of PlayStation or screens to some degree.
yeah,
And that seems to have been working the best so far because they know, like, okay, I can go. So he's like, okay, so if I go outside for 2 hours, then I'll get this much screen time, like, so we can go on the PlayStation for this much time. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, if we're going out for 3 hours, I can get this much PlayStation time. Yeah. But it works really well because he doesn't keep coming to me and going, "Has it been an hour yet? Has it been an hour yet?" Which he does if I
yeah,
say, you need to go and play outside for an hour and then you can come in.
yeah,
He just goes off and plays, and they all just go off and play. I'm not saying that it's not going to change. I'm not saying that I'm an expert or that it's the right thing to do. I just, to be honest, I have no idea what's the right thing to do. I mean, I used to come home from school and go straight on the computer
Yeah.
and go on MSN and on The Sims, and until I went to bed, and then I'd go to bed
Do you
and
remember those good old days though when you had to, what was that noise that connected to the internet?
dial up. Yeah,
Yeah, and you
love
couldn't
it.
use your house phone
Yeah,
while you were on the internet.
yeah,
How times have changed.
I know. Since I did the Naomi Fisher sort of style,
Yeah,
I didn't. I've since gone on to learn a lot about how brain development in children happens and how we process things and how our brains work and the chemicals in your brain and happiness and all that sort of stuff. And actually, what I realized is that these screens and these video games, they give them such a spike in dopamine that is
yeah,
so unnatural that then when they come back down, their normal life is so plain and boring,
yeah,
and it is literally like a drug, and they are seeking that spike again, that massive unnatural spike where, well, learning should be dopamine spikes, and it is, but when you're competing with a dopamine spike of like winning a particular battle in a video game, it's
yeah,
learning a new word in Spanish is a very different
yeah, of course.
dopamine spike to
Yeah,
that. Like, what's going to compete with that? And that's what frightened me, because I, the last thing that I'd want to do is for them to be searching for these huge dopamine spikes in their everyday life, and then their everyday life becomes so boring and not, they don't want to live their normal life, like they're unfulfilled because it's not enough.
yeah,
That scared me. Like, what is
yeah,
that doing to the chemicals in their brain, and their,
yeah,
how is that shaping their brain? And all of these new, even new cartoons and new kids programs and stuff, they're all the same. They're all brightly colored, really loud noises, like overstimulation,
yeah,
in order to keep them like fixed and fixed and fixed, because it's fueling those dopamine spikes.
yeah,
And that scares me. And I thought, do you know what? Actually, it's my job to keep you safe, healthy, and
yeah,
make sure that you live a balanced life. And in my personal experience and my personal view, allowing you to have unlimited screen time means that you don't live a healthy and balanced life. And as
yeah,
much as I would love to put the trust in them, I don't feel that they should have to take on that responsibility.
yeah,
Sometimes I'm going to have to be the one that says, actually, no, you do need to, this is in your best interests. And yes, they will learn as they get older, and I will probably be a lot more flexible with how much responsibility they have over the amount of screens that they have as they get into teenagers and all that stuff. But right now, when they are still so little, like, yes, he's nearly 9, but that's still really little, and that's really, he doesn't know what he doesn't know, and so he doesn't know that, yes, he thinks, oh, these feel really good, but
yeah,
actually they don't always feel really good, because sometimes they come
no,
off them and they just constantly bicker and their behavior changes and they don't enjoy the world, like I just said. Like, and just think, do you really want that out of your life? Does it feel good? And even he can admit that it doesn't sometimes. So just raising that awareness about it, I think, in my personal experience and opinion, is much more beneficial than letting him figure it out on his own.
yeah.
So that's where I am at with it. And we also went on holiday recently to a caravan where we had zero internet, zero Wi-Fi, and all they had were literally like Freeview channel. They were like, "Can we watch films and series?" Like, no, this is like, we hardly had CBeebies because it was so, the signal was so bad. They were watching like high traffic cops on Channel 5, or they were watching the Bake Off.
How did they react to that? How was their emotions? Like how?
Well, because it wasn't me saying, no, you can't have that, and they know that it's there.
Yeah.
They
It
knew
wasn't an
they could
option.
have the remote. I was like, have it. You knock yourselves out with that telly. Like this big. You go for it. You go and see what you can get out of that. They were quite like, they'd watch Traffic Cops for a bit because that's a bit interesting sometimes, and they would like to watch the Bake Off, and then they'd be like, "Oh, should we go and chase the seagulls outside, or should we go and collect some sticks?" And like they just started playing outside instead, or they'd play in the caravan, or they'd just,
Yeah.
it wasn't addictive.
Yeah.
And I've seen that there's been a really big rise in recently in people saying you need to be bringing your kids up like they were in the 90s, like how we were brought up, I suppose, like on these TV programs that aren't overly stimulating. And if you put something on, like, oh, what could I imagine that there was? What did we used to watch when we were kids? Like, what was on?
Gosh, Harry's actually watching what I used to watch at the minute, and Olivia's just started enjoying it. Topsy and Tim.
Oh, Topsy and Tim, yeah. Or
Topsy
like
and Tim.
Rosie and Jim.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
If you put that on for them, they'll sit there for a bit, but then eventually they'll get up and probably do something else. Whereas if you put like Paw Patrol or a particular like other something like that on, they'll be
Yeah.
sat there and they'll be glued and they won't come away because it's giving them that constant overstimulation and the dopamine, whereas the Rosie and Jim
Yeah.
on their canal boat, not so much. And it's all to do with everything that goes into it. It's not an accident.
Yeah.
Like it's on purpose that they do this. The
Yeah,
frame
of course
rate,
it
how
is.
fast the scene changes, how bright the colours are, how loud the noises are, how fast they talk. Everything is combined is in order to get them watching it for as long as possible.
And then to then look at the wider scale and go and buy our products, go and
Yeah.
buy this,
Because this will give you that dopamine
yeah.
hit that you had when you were watching the
Yeah. Go and buy
Yeah.
the trucks, go and buy the dogs, go and buy yeah, of course it
And
is. There's a massive marketing tool in it.
yeah. I want to shelter them from it for as long as I can so
Yeah.
that their brain can be as developed as it can so they can handle it in a way where they're not addicted.
We haven't got to that yet. And I don't feel the need. Like this is what I was saying earlier, my opinion on screens isn't that strong because we don't have it in this house. Like Harry's not obsessive over a screen. He doesn't need the TV on. Like if he's sat in the front room, he'll happily go and play or he'll do something else. His love for football is so big. Like he'd much prefer to be out in the garden kicking a ball than he would be on his iPad. Is it going to come? Possibly. But the amount of time he uses his iPad during the day is very little. He'll go and grab it. Like now, he's probably gone. Actually, I can hear him playing in his room. He will go and get the iPad and he'll watch something like, I don't know, Topsy and Tim, or he's actually just started watching Peppa Pig randomly. But he just doesn't, he doesn't really play games.
Yeah. I think it is age because
Yeah.
my 8-year-old, he just wants to play on like video like PlayStation, but because it's with other kids that are his age.
Yeah.
And I do like it for that aspect, the social aspect of it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have to be mindful of regulating what are the benefits. The benefits only go a certain amount, and then it just starts to become not beneficial anymore. The longer that he's on it, like a certain amount of time, yeah, great, fine, an hour and a half playing with your friends as a group, great, but then come off and do something else. But we have to model that as well because it's easy to go, no, you need to come off your screens because I'm an adult now, I know better, when we're sat there on ours. And it's hard to say to them, oh yeah, but our brains don't work the same way that yours do, and yours are affected a lot more, and we're doing this to earn money a lot of the time.
That's not gonna wash.
And exactly, because it's monkey see, monkey do, isn't it? It's not monkey say, monkey do. It's
Absolutely.
They just model how you behave.
So, do you use screens as a learning tool? Like, is there any particular apps that you guys would use or
Yeah.
you subscribe to, or is it mainly like a screen for
No, so
screen for
they
gaming?
so every day, my 5-year-old and my 8-year-old have their non-negotiables. So, and to be fair, mm, almost everything is on a screen. But I mean, I
Yeah.
say they're not. It's not much. Like they're both doing Spanish on Duolingo, so
Oh,
they do
lovely. That's good.
that. 5-year-old he does a like learning to read app, which he loves to do, and they both do a game called Prodigy, which is maths. So it's like a world, an interactive world where they can play together when they're both on it. They can both play
Yeah.
together. And it's like wizards and um all these different things and they have to battle each other. But in order to get their power, they have to answer maths questions. And then it sends us at the end of every week like a report on how they did, what they're weak in, what they seem to be strong in, how they're progressing, because it's all down to their age and their ability and different things. And they love playing on that.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. And
Harry
then
would like that.
it's great. Because when they're on it together, like it's actually real time. So
Yeah.
whoever else is in the world, little walking around, they're actually real people that are playing on it. You can't talk to each other or anything, but they
Yeah.
can each choose to battle each other,
Yeah.
which is quite good because it's even more interactive for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they each do some reading. Um, but that's it. Um, other than that, we use screens a lot for research. So, for instance, we went through a phase of tsunamis, so we had to watch all the tsunami videos and the tsunamis, all the home footage of tsunamis and things like that. And we watched something on um, D-Day, World War II, on like horrible histories, or they'll what Ruben. That's my 5-year-old. He absolutely loves to watch David Attenborough or anything about animals. My 8-year-old loves to watch stuff like um gold, the gold rush, where they're digging for gold
In for gold. Yeah.
and like scrapyard challenges and stuff like that. So we use them for that. And other than that, we like to watch films, and that's it really. I ban YouTube on the telly. They're not allowed to watch YouTube on the telly, mainly because it just is really annoying.
Do they
Yeah,
watch like?
that's all they watch is
Yeah.
gaming, and I can't stand
Yeah.
it. I can't stand it. So
Yeah. There's a few apps that we enjoy. Um, Reading eggs. Harry will do that. And Numbots. That's quite a good one because that's really plain. Like the screen is so boring.
yeah,
It's like counting nuts, and like you have to create like this robot and stuff, and it asks you different math questions, and you get um, like screws and stuff, and it all counts up. It's actually quite nice,
oh, you'll
but
have
it's
to send the link.
very boring.
Yeah, you'll have to
Yeah,
send the link, and then we can like link everything in the
yeah,
description.
definitely. Yeah, that other one that you mentioned.
Prodigy, yeah.
That sounds quite a good one. Harry just loves maths, so anything maths related, he is good for.
Mm,
But yeah, there's not many apps that we would use learning wise. But he doesn't. We're only 5, so
yeah.
this is a whole massive learning curve that we're going to have to navigate around. But he doesn't. He can give or take a screen. He's not bothered about it. He's not. You know.
And hopefully that will continue.
I hope so. I hope so. I really do. But we'll see. We'll
Mm,
see. I've seen it both ends of the scale. Like because I don't say to him like you can't go on a screen yet, or you can't have it at the dinner table. But he will quite happily leave it. He doesn't
yeah.
like. I know some people have like a rule that no screens at the table or no screens before bed. Where I don't actually feel the need with how much Harry uses it, or how little, should I say, Harry uses it. I don't feel that we need to have those restrictions there.
So we have a no screens before bed because my 8-year-old has ADHD and finds it hard enough to go to sleep as it is.
Yeah.
He can take hours sometimes. And I
Wow.
think the blue light messes with your rhythm, your circadian rhythm, all that sort of stuff. And I don't think he needs the blue light adding to that,
No.
adding to his difficulty getting to sleep in the first place, because he just finds it really hard to settle his body and his mind down. So I'll allow him to read. He can read for as long as he likes. And he reads a page a day of like a chapter book that he's going through. My 5-year-old hits the pillow and he's out. Like, it wouldn't bother him. Wouldn't matter whether he had a screen until he passed out. Like, he is. But that's just how the two are different. But we can't have a rule for one and a different rule for the other. So we always say screens up until dinner, and then they go off, and then they don't go on until you go to bed. And my 8-year-old has set his own bedtime, said, I want to go to bed at 8 and I want to wake up at 8. So, like, fine, okay. Does he go to bed at 8? No. Never.
But does he get up at 8?
No. Equally, no. To be fair, I have to wake him up every morning, and we're like, we can't keep doing this. You're going to have to go to bed at 8 because I'm going to wake you up. And Ash keeps threatening, I'm going to wake you up at 6 in the morning. He's like, no, Dad, no. But that's the trouble. If he sleeps in too long, then he's just pushing and pushing. But the light nights don't help.
No, of course.
Because it's still so light at 9:30 that they're like raring to go still.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And I think it is also the way of the world. And I know that sounds really like, and I'm probably going to get shot down for that, and it doesn't have to be everybody's way. But, I was having a conversation with a friend. It's got to have been about 12 months ago now. And she said, my friend's just called and she's registered her daughter for the school, this new college that's come into town. And I was like, yeah, okay. And she went, and she got sent an iPad. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, the first thing she got sent through the post was an iPad. And I was like, really? And literally, she said, attached to this iPad was a note, like a covering letter that said, welcome to blah, blah, blah. Here is your iPad. Most of our work, communication, and everything is done via this iPad. This will be basically like your textbook, I guess.
More efficient, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it is. It is the way of the world. It's the way everything is on technology.
It is. And I have met like people from all places on this spectrum. So families who completely limit, their kids don't have any screens whatsoever, don't watch the TV, they don't have a telly at home, they don't have iPads, don't have anything, to those that just allow them to do what they want and be on it as much as they want.
Yeah.
And for me, neither of those two extremes are what we choose to do. But if I was to err on the side of either, it probably would be that just let them have it as much as they want, because I don't want equally them to be. I love the romantic idea of them just playing outside with sticks and hoops and in the woods and climbing trees, and that to me is the ideal, like, amazing. But in reality, I don't want my kids to get to 15, 16, 17 and then be completely like, well, what is this world? I don't know how to use a computer. I don't know how to navigate. I don't know how to know whether this stuff from the internet is legit. I don't know how to sort of just screen people and make sure that they are who they say they are. And
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to equally, like, I don't want to send my boys into the world not knowing how to do their own washing and cook. I equally don't want them to go into the world not knowing how to keep themselves safe online and also use it to their advantage.
And technology, the world out there is quite a scary world, let's be honest. Like some of the things that you hear about technology and the way that it is used, I find it very scary and very overwhelming. And
It is, yeah.
you know, and some of the stories that you hear,
Oh my God,
I
yeah.
just want to keep my kids in this
when
bubble.
when you look back onto your teen, because when I look back onto my teen years, my mum and dad had, because we were the first generation, weren't we, that were brought up with this amount of digital. We were like the digital age, I think, and so my parents had absolutely no idea what was going on MSN. And there used to be so many like add this person who you don't know who's just on webcam. You can put your imagination to that one. And stuff like that. And you think, God, that is a really scary thing when you look back on it as a parent now. As a teen, you just think it's hilarious that this man sat there on webcam to you.
Oh, jeez.
But I mean, I didn't ever
no.
him. But like as a group of friends, you'd all sit there and like chat roulette, I suppose. Remember that?
No, I remember MSN, and for me, my upbringing with screens was we didn't get a computer till really late, and my mum and dad went to parents' evening, and everybody's work on the wall was done on a computer.
Yeah.
You know, good old word art, bit of bubble writing at the top,
Clip art,
and then your text underneath. And everybody's was done on a computer apart from mine and my sister's. And they were like, okay. But computers then were a lot of money, and they were kind of a little bit of a privilege to have.
Yeah.
And so my grandparents bought us a computer, and it was put downstairs, and it was for us all to share. You know, and
we had it was a family computer that we had. It was the big thing.
And I remember it being like at the corner of the room and by the door, and I'd be like messaging whoever, oh look at me on MSN, and then like see my dad approaching, I'd be like, you know, quick, get off it.
I know.
Or you'd be on the phone, and of course it was a corded phone, so you'd like stretch it as far as it would go, and then sit on your computer desk and talk and shut the door and hope that gap, because if the cable was through the door, nobody could hear it.
Yeah.
How times have changed, and it is a real scary world. It really is
scary. And I do think that it's just down to us to not only teach them, but protect them as well as teach them up until a certain point.
It's like the whole talk, isn't it, of what age is a good age for a child to have a phone. And you know, you hear quite a few parents, especially with children that go to school or walk to school, they go, oh, they've got a phone because they walk to school. And it is a really sticky point, isn't it? What age? Because it's not just a phone anymore.
No.
It's literally a mini iPad. They have access to everything
the internet
on a phone.
Anywhere.
And
there's no Bluetooth in pixelated videos to each other anymore. And those
full HD
and those 9 songs that everybody had on their phone, or even making your own ringtone.
My technology when I was growing up was a radio player, and it was 7 o'clock on a Sunday evening, listening to the
oh my God, you sound like you're living in the 1940s.
How many 36? You know,
in the tin bath. Were you waiting for your sibling to get out the tin bath next to the fire?
In the side of the TV. I don't remember those days, guys. But I used to really enjoy listening to the UK top hits.
Oh yeah.
Pause and play.
Recording it.
Recording
being
it.
quiet.
On tape. And not getting any of the talking, you know, trying so hard to get as close to the end of the song as you could, but stop it so then you could have the next song without any talking.
You
know, that was a skill back then.
How
is it? Send it via, you know,
it's all just online now, isn't it?
It's just everything is accessible
And that's the
at
other
your
thing, that
fingertips.
instant gratification. That
Yeah.
instant gratification is so rife. Like it's with everything. Everything's instant now. Even like Amazon is within an hour some places.
Who needs shops anymore when you've got a phone?
Well,
You
yeah.
click it and the
But we
bloke
didn't use
turns up
it.
at your
We
door
used to
within
have to
2 hours.
wait. We used to have to wait until like we knew that Neil Buchanan was going to be on ITV. It
Yeah.
wasn't even ITV, it was Channel 3 at this time. And if we weren't sat there watching it, it was gone and we had to wait until the next week.
We sound really old.
We
We're
are.
like, I mean, I've even got grey hairs, like, feeling ancient. And it's really weird, isn't it? Because like you said, we at the start, we are that generation that's gone from having no
Nothing.
technology to having everything.
Yeah.
Whereas, the world that our kids are growing up in right now, what's it going to be like when they're our age?
I
What,
know.
who would have thought technology would be the way that it is today back then? What's it going to be like in 30 years' time?
Exactly. Like how fast it's progressed
Yeah.
and how fast it's progressed even in this past few years, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about technology and moving forward? Like, is, you know, home educating, would you move on to online lessons, or do you think that done in person is kind of the thing? Is it, or would you just continue your sort of like organic learning, really?
If if there's ever a time where one of them comes to me and says, I really want to learn about this particular thing, and the only way that it could be done was through an online lesson, then I would
Yeah.
do that. But until that point, I don't see the point in online lessons because it's just like school. It'd just be like sitting down at
Yeah.
school, but you're at home and there's a lot more distractions around. And I know my kids, and my kids would not sit there in front of a screen that someone else was talking at them through. So
Yeah.
online lessons, no. Um, I'll still incorporate it into our learning as a tool that we use. We use Siri. The kids ask Siri loads of questions all the time. Like
Yeah.
I even learned something last night because my 8-year-old was like, "What's the smallest thing in the entire universe?" And I was like, well, it used to be the atom, and then they split that open. So, um, it's actually a quark. I don't know whether I'm saying that right, but it's a quark. And I was like, wow, this is quite interesting. So it's just little questions like that we use the internet for. And I'd always seek out in-person, practical, immersive experiences to learn rather
Yeah.
than sit down and listen to someone else tell you what they know about that thing. That just works better for my kids. But
Yeah.
yeah, I look at me when I was at school, I used to love sitting and doing little like projects. I'm doing loads of writing and making my own little newspapers and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. And I used to absolutely love it. Whereas if I tried to get one of mine to do that, there'd be so much resistance against it. And it shows to me that I have to be adaptive and open to their learning styles.
Yeah.
So what about you?
Um, it's a discussion that we've had, but because we just don't know what Harry's sort of like, well, and Olivia's, I guess, their way of learning, preferred learning is going to be. But in an ideal world, would probably like to sort of like between the age of 7 and 9, maybe get a tutor, mainly for maths and English, because I think that that is a skill that is kind of, I'm not great at it. I'm going to be honest, so I'm learning as much as Harry is now, but because I feel that it's not a strength that I really have. Stav's a whiz at maths. He literally he's just a numbers guy.
I'm the opposite. I'm all about like grammar, spelling,
Yeah,
English.
pretty pants at both, but
Love
you know,
love English language and English literature.
I love all of it. I'm just not very great at it. But yeah, so I think they're skills in life that you need, and I think English and maths is one of them, two of them, and
There's your maths.
see, told you I was rubbish. Can't even count. Yeah, so I just think that, I think, to be honest, it'd probably be something that we'd look into as he gets older. Not now, he doesn't need it. I'm okay while he's 5 to do 2 add 2. And
you sure? You just did, you got one wrong.
We'll cut that bit out, yeah.
Talking about tutors, I actually saw, it might have been Naomi Fisher or someone like that had said a while ago, like we put kids in school, and then the thing that they are struggling at is what we put most of our efforts into, and we get them tutors for it to make them better.
I saw this.
But then the thing that they're really good at, we don't put any focus or attention onto that. So really, it should be the opposite. It should be, oh yeah, it's all right. We know that that's not your strength. Let's go all in on this thing that you absolutely love to do and are clearly really good at. Let's get a tutor or a mentor or coach for that thing.
And I love that. What a way to think about it.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it, because my weakness at school was a maths, and I was given a maths tutor. Yeah. I used to go to my auntie's house, go around next door, and go to my maths tutor once a week.
Yeah.
And oh my God, was it boring. And I'm still rubbish at it.
Because you don't care. You didn't care then. You did it
maths
to please other people, and also to meet these expectations that were placed on you.
Yeah.
That was it. You didn't do it for any other reason.
No.
But if you needed to work something out now, you probably would figure out how to work something out. I mean, none of us are going around doing bloody quadratic equations.
Oh, so, honestly, I couldn't think of anything worse.
But we're not, unless you're in that sort of field. And then even if you are in that sort of field, there's usually a reason for it. So you know why you have to work it out in that way in order to get to this end result, because this is what it means.
Yeah.
Whereas if we're just told in a test, what's the answer to this quadratic equation or whatever. It's like
a new word to me. See, told you.
You just don't. There's no reason for it.
No.
There's no, like, if a painter and decorator needs to work out area, so he needs to know square numbers and all that sort of stuff. But at maths, but at school, it's just, you're not really taught those practical. I mean, they might be now, but we certainly weren't.
No. I was given a number round my neck that said, Claire is in set 6 at maths. And guess what? I was rubbish at maths because I was in set 6, the last set. And that's how it was.
And then they were reinforcing that story that you aren't any good. And that's really, so then you'll carry that into your adult life, that you're no good at maths.
And yeah, exactly what I just said. It is. I'm rubbish at maths.
Yeah. Because that's what you've been told.
Yeah. Drilled into me, really.
Like I said, we're still learning how to navigate this whole screen thing, and I don't know what's the best. I'm just trying to keep on top of it, and I just sort of go with how things are feeling at that time. And if they start to feel strained and like this isn't working, then we seek to find another alternative. And as long as I keep them involved and I'm not like, no, you can't have it, and not give them a reason.
Yeah.
Usually we can figure something out together.
Yeah.
Which I think gives them a bit of respect as well, doesn't it? And a bit of responsibility in it.
Yeah.
But without placing the whole of the responsibility of knowing how to live a balanced life.
Yeah, this is definitely a subject I'd be interested to know people's opinions on.
Yeah, me. And see how how they navigate it, how they set boundaries, whether they don't set boundaries, how they, yeah. And with different ages of kids.
Yeah, especially older as well,
Yeah.
how that's progressed and how screens have developed in their learning.
Yeah. That'd be really
Um,
interesting. So if anyone wants to comment below, please, on how
yeah,
you navigate this whole screen time technology thing and where you found your balance and your boundaries, because we'd be really interested to hear. And we
and
can
if you
share
had to
some.
adapt your ways, if you are you completely anti-screen and had to go, actually,
Yeah.
I need to kind of embrace it a little bit in our life and our learning journey, I'd be
Or the
really
other way
intrigued.
around.
Yeah,
Or did you
completely.
have too much and now you've had to like rein it in? And because it's so easily done. It's a very self-aware thing to step back and actually think this isn't working. We need to do something about it instead of just blaming the like like complaining about the situation or
Yeah,
trying to battle
absolutely.
because it does affect behavior. In my house, it does affect their behavior. And so if I was just to place all that blame on them and say, oh, you've got to stop acting like that, instead of thinking, what can I do about it to help this situation? I think
Yeah,
we'd just be constantly fighting and
yeah.
battling. And that's no fun for anybody.
No, not at
So,
all. Not at all.
yeah, what a great
Thanks.
conversation. Yeah.
Loved it.
Um, see you in the next one. Please comment and
Absolutely.
we'll see you in the next one.
See you next time.